Alrighty. Alright, let's get this started. Okay, I see you. Requesting to join. Let's go ahead. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am great.
Good to hear it. Glad to hear it. How's the week been?
Hot. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's toasty.
Okay.
Very, very hot and humid. Heat advisory all week here. So,
Oh,
and now it's thunderstorming.
oh,
We're under a severe weather alert. So, if my power goes out, that's why.
oh no.
Yeah, we currently are under a severe weather alert for the next hour. So, yay, right on time.
Get through it. You'll get through it. Yeah, we've had a lot of heat this past week. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts right now.
Okay.
We were about to get hit with Hurricane Henry or Henry.
Mm.
And, yeah, it was very crazy, but didn't hit as hard as people were saying it would hit. So we're fine now, but it's just really hot. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see.
Our temperatures have not gone below 88 all week long. And yep, in Connecticut. Hello, let me see. Unique Nikki Star and Creamed LR. Hi there. Thank y'all for joining. Yeah, the temperatures in August right now are gross.
Does it get really cold in Ohio?
Hey Marie, what'd you say?
Does it get really cold in Ohio?
It does, yeah. So we get very low temperatures. We don't get a lot of, so let me be fair about Ohio. Ohio's not the same all over the place. So Cincinnati is like in the cut, all the way in the
Mhm.
bottom. We get a lot of cold temperatures, but we don't get a lot of snow versus like if you were somewhere more up north, like Cleveland, they get more snow because they're by Lake Erie. So
Mhm.
where we are gets more cold, not the snow stuff that y'all get.
Okay. Yeah, no, Boston is definitely infamous for its severe winters, but as global warming has gone throughout the years, it's gotten a little warmer, but it's still pretty terrible.
Yeah, no, that's rough. So, welcome to everyone that is here. Hi, I don't think I can wave. I can't see a wave
Yeah,
button, so I'm just
I
gonna
can
like
wave at
wave
people.
digitally. Hey, everybody. Um,
How y'all
Continue
doing?
to join. Keep coming in. We're gonna have a fun discussion. I have so many tips for y'all, and I hope that you have questions for me.
I'm
Um,
looking forward to it.
Throw them. Get ready for your work life prioritizing,
Oh yes.
managing
Hmm.
questions, but
Hmm.
maybe I'll answer them because I got goods later down
Oh,
the road.
we brought you on. I was looking forward to this conversation for sure. This is definitely some stuff that I even myself have to learn as well too. So
This is gonna be a good one.
hi, my name is Anthony. I am the founder and CEO of Golden Goals Career Coaching. This is our first live session with our first guest. This is the A to Z Career Coaching Series, talking on a brand brand landscape of different topics that are related to navigating corporate spaces, about being a professional in corporate America, and how to essentially excel at that in the different and all the different aspects that go into that. So today we're going to be talking about work-life balance, and we have our first guest, Kay. Okay, could you please introduce yourself to the people?
I didn't realize I was the first. That's awesome. I didn't. That's super cool. I love that. First, I always like to say hi. So hi, Mackie Esh, and hi, Swipes for Boston, and hi, CJ Co. My name is Kay Grave Sandy, and I am the founder and CEO of Career K LLC, which is an HR consultancy that provides custom HR solutions to small businesses. So basically, I work with it's not just myself. I have an HR consultant on my team. We work with small businesses all over the US to provide custom solutions to them. So if you're a small business, from 2 to 99 is usually our cutoff. And you're like, listen, I have a accounting business and I don't have any HR strategy. I don't know how to grow my business. Hey, Nick Staples. I don't know how to grow my business. I don't know how to hire people or terminate somebody. I'm not sure what an HR strategy is. I don't have any employment contracts. All that HR stuff, that's kind of what we do. So I've been in HR for a decade and in the corporate sector, and I decided to leave my job last October and focus fully on Career K. So that is what I do. I'm certified in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is such a big hot topic area. So if you have any questions on DEI and what it is, because a lot of people don't know what it is, how it's affecting you as a professional, how you can help as an ally, this would be a great time to talk about it. Hey, Mamie O, or ma'am, I'm not sure how you say it. I say ma'am, Mamie. I
I
don't know.
think it's
But
my,
hey,
I think it's my bad. I'm just gonna assume.
I don't know. But hey. So that is, yeah, a little bit about me, which is why I wanted to talk so much about work and life balance, because that's a big area in human resources. It's something that your human resource department should be factoring in, and I say should because not all HR teams are created equal. So I've been in the field long enough to know that some HR fields are really black and white, right? It's policy and that's what it is. Other HR fields are a little bit more gray, and they say, well, we care for the people and we care for the company, and so we try to harmonize that, and that's kind of where I like to sit. I like to walk in between, and yes, the HR department is supposed to be about the company. By all means, that's what they're for. They're there to understand what the policies are about a company, understand, make sure the company is compliant, make sure that you are mitigating risk, bringing on talent, retaining talent, all that stuff. That's what they're for. But they're also there for you as an employee so that you don't have to know that stuff, right? If you come with a question and you're like, hey, what's our policy on leave? I need to, take a leave to take care of my mom. Or I don't know, I have to go to jury duty. How do I do that? Or I just don't like my boss. How do I move about this? Or is this legal? Are the things that are being put upon me something that can happen? That's what your HR department is supposed to be there for. So that's kind of a big synopsis of how work and life all come together.
Right, right. And it's very important, and thank you for mentioning all that because, I come in contact with a multitude of clients that, when it comes to all these different questions that relate to, your life and then how that intersects with your work life, how to navigate these different things, how to take off, how to be able to contact someone who can help you with a specific situation. How do your benefits work? How do you accrue PTO?
Yep.
How does your 401k work? What are all these things in your
Yep.
contract and in your offer letter? What do they all mean?
Yes.
You go into the interview and you do a great job and you finally get to that final round, you do a great job and you get the offer letter and you just get this big contract and all what most people just looking for is that money number,
That
and the
money.
location
Yeah.
you get that position that you was looking for. Once you got that, and then you see all these, these clauses and these lines, and you're signing all these employee agreements, and you don't really know what you're signing, and you don't know what the terms are. You don't actually know 100% of everything. Like, is everything for you? Is everything what you want in that job? And then essentially. A lot of people don't know who to ask about that, and who that person might be. So it's
Yeah.
definitely that we're gonna have this conversation. So I think the main question that most people asked coming into this live was just first things first. How do you manage your time in order to gain a work-life balance? Because most people have a 9 to 5,
Yep.
or maybe they have a night shift, or maybe they have two jobs, they have a full-time and a part-time. What are the best ways that you would suggest in terms of managing your time with the shifts that you've been given?
So I would start with a schedule. I think as hard as that is for a lot of folks, a schedule is going to be how you're going to start to figure things out. And if you're not into schedules, because people are different in terms of like how detail oriented they want to be, right? Like I know people who meal plan down to a calendar and they're able to say, all right, my calendar is built out for the next 30 days. I know people who are like, I don't even know what I'm going to eat tomorrow. And that's okay. But if you're like, all right, every day I work from, I work the 10 to 7 shift, right? Or I work 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. All right, that's part of your schedule. You got that part down. Maybe you have kids. Your kids have to be at school from 8 to 2. Okay, that's another part of your schedule. Take those big chunks that you know for sure and put those on your schedule, right? Let's get those concrete and get those down. And then when you step back and say, all right, I've only got maybe a four-hour window left. That's it. All I got is 4 hours. What do you want to do with those 4 hours? Because the next part after we have our schedule is how are we going to prioritize? Prioritizing is a super critical key for what we do. And we kind of fall in this trap of prioritizing when we say, well, we're on Instagram for hours, right? I do it all the time. I'm on Instagram. I'll look up and I've watched, I don't know, 100 reels. I could have been doing something else with that time. I could have been getting ready for dinner. I could have been made lunches for the week. I could have gotten my laundry done. There's so many other things I could have done in that time, but I used it as a downtime. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe my brain needed that mindless scrolling downtime, but I also do that 5 days a week or 7 days a week. So instead of doing it 7 days a week, maybe I need to only do that twice a week or 3 times a week and allot those other 4 days to something more useful. So it's really about being a little bit more aware, getting our schedule together, how much additional time is left. And I'm not calling it free time because it's not free, right? It has to be utilized somewhere else. But where are we going to utilize it? And what is your goal? Do you want to work out? Do you want to find a hobby? Do you want to spend time with your family? Do you want to, I don't know, go bike riding? I don't care. I don't care what your goal is. But whatever it is, once you have the things that can't change, work and maybe school or whatever, that extra time, let's start prioritizing what we're doing that's kind of menial. Are we watching TV? Do we have a favorite Netflix series that we're binge watching all the time? Okay. Do we have to do that right now? Not saying you can't do it forever, but can we push it back? Right? So one of the things that I always use is the DDD list. That list is number 1, do I have to do it? Do, defer, delegate, delete. Do it. If a task, I don't care what task it is, right? Let's just say we need to wash dishes. Do you need to wash the dishes? Or the dishes need to be done? Do you need to do it right now? If you don't, can you defer it? If you can defer it, can you delegate it? So can someone else in your house do it? And if not, can you delete the task? And again, doesn't have to be permanent. Can you delete the task till tomorrow? Can you delete the task till next week, till Sunday, till Tuesday? I don't care. But do it, defer it, delegate it, or delete it. Those are your 4 options when something isn't some urgent, like right now we have to do it to take care of it at this moment. So all of these things will help you with time management when we think, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I have so much to do. I have to get it done. I don't have enough time in the day to get stuff done. You really do. You just need to take a moment and say, what do I actually have to do? I have to go to work and I have to pick up my kids. That's it. Everything else is probably a little bit more fluid for you.
Right.
So that's where I would start.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And on the same topic of schedules, especially when it comes to, getting that offer letter out, outside of what your time might look like outside of work, what about when it comes to your actual job and what those hours look like, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, etc. When you get that offer letter, a lot of people will definitely think that, you're locked into those hours, but how would you advise in terms of, say, negotiating what your hours might look like once you get that job position?
Yeah, so negotiations, that is a whole topic in itself. And I love people who negotiate. Number 1, you always, always, always have power to negotiate, especially right now. We're in a candidate market. There are 10 million jobs and 6 million people who want to work them. So that means when you get to a point where they're offering you something, you have all the power in the world, all of it. It's all in your court. You have all the power to walk away. You have all the power to want more money, to ask for another week of vacation, to ask for flexibility, to whatever is going to benefit you. You have that right now because they want you. You are the candidate. You're the one. So use that. Now, don't be an a-hole about it, right? It's strategic negotiation, but you have that. You have that ability. It's just about how you approach it. And so this is when you say, number one, you thankful, like, wow, thank you for the offer. I'm excited about the opportunity to join your organization. I'm sure, I'm positive, or I'm confident, it's a great word, confident that my skills will be a valuable asset to the team. However, right now, here's where you throw in your thing. However, I noticed that maybe this is asking you to work, I don't know, 9 to 4, and your kid needs to be picked up by 3. Okay, so here's where you would throw that in there. However, I noticed the schedule had called for, or maybe you don't see the schedule. So maybe you just, in the interview, you heard something about people were working from 8 to 4. And so you say, it would work better for my schedule if I was able to work from 7 to 3 or whatever. I don't, put in what works for you. And you throw that back at them. If you want more money, you would say, I'm thinking that the offer is a little low for my experience in my education. These are things, like I said, you throw in what works for you. And always remember, the worst that they can say is no, because they've already offered you the position. They already want you. They've already said, you're not in the interview process. They've already said, that's our guy, that's our girl. We want them. Okay, cool. And then if they say no, now the ball's back in your court for you to say, do I want this then? Can I accept what they gave me originally? Yeah. Or I know for a fact that I can get this. I can walk. I can take this to a competitor.
Right.
What do I want to do?
Right. Exactly. And it's so important. And I told all of my salary negotiations specific clients, and also the clients that do get a job offer and they come back to me and say, hey, what should I do here? Should I just take her, or should I try to negotiate? Is to like, hey, what I'm saying, remember to be intentional about your job search process. What are your deal breakers, right? What is your minimum? What is your value for your time? If you're shooting for a job that pays $50K, but your dream company offers you $45K, are you going to compromise that? Or are you going to say, hey, I believe I deserve $50K. Here's XYZ reason why I deserve $50K. And I can, continue my job process over at the company B, because they might be offering that instead. And you just let them know, you stand your ground, because
absolutely.
At the end of the day, you are the prize. You are the product. You are what they're looking for, what they need to fill their role in order to bring their business or their company to the next level. So, realize your worth, realize your value, and let them know, because, I think it's very easy, especially people that look like us, especially people that didn't grow up with everything, kind of streamlined for them. It's easy to see, a nice big, money number and say, oh, well, that's the bar. I just gotta take that because they're just gonna take it away if I don't. No, remember, know your worth. You worked hard to get to that point. You worked hard to do that interview. They didn't have, you didn't owe them your time, but you gave them your time in that interview.
Gave it to them, yep.
Pre-COVID, you probably drove maybe 30 minutes to an hour to get there, not even knowing if you would actually get the job. You put in all the work in. They got your presence, they got your value, they got your resume, and they want your skills in order to take, to fill that role. Negotiate, believe that you are worth the negotiation, and ask for what you want.
It's intimidating too. When I've had clients that they don't know what to say. They're afraid that negotiating makes them look bad, right? Like it's like, well, if I say something, then it puts me in a bad light. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. You're leaving money on the table, because from the other side of the coin, they're going to go in with a low ball offer, usually. Not all the time. We've gone in, I've hired people that I'm like, we got to get this person. A trick to that is when you hear the question, are you entertaining any other offers? When you're in the interview process and the question is, are you entertaining any other offers? And you say yes. That tells that recruiter or that hiring manager that they have competition. It's kind of like when you're buying a house, right? If you're buying a house, if you've gone through the home buying process and there's multiple buyers looking at that house, what kind of offer do you want to put in? You want to put in an offer that's going to get you that house. It's the same thing when you're looking for a candidate, especially, again, right now it's a candidate market. So if I'm looking at this one candidate and I now know there are other people looking at that candidate and this candidate is on that third round interview, that tells me as a hiring manager, I have to go in with an offer that I want this person to accept. I don't want to lowball them because they're good talent. I need this person to come in and fill this role. So I'm not going to go in with something that's too low for them, right? I want them. So you can kind of start to feel that situation out from the other side of the table. Like, all right, why did they ask me that question? Well, probably if I'm on that third round. Now, if you're on the first round, it's a little harder to figure that out. But if you're on the third, you're kind of in that, you're past those a couple phases. You should figure that out and say, oh, okay, so they really are interested in me. And this is a pretty good offer, right? And you also have to do your job as a candidate. You should be researching what does people get paid at this rate, right? If you're going for a director level and they're offering you $50,000, you're way out of you're lowballed. You are low. There's no director that should be getting 50 grand right out the back. You are being lowballed.
Right.
So do your research to see what should you be making for, your position.
Right. Absolutely. And LinkedIn actually offers a tool. It's called LinkedIn Salary, and essentially you can just look up your position,
Yeah.
look up the position you're going for, and see what other people in other companies, what the statistics are for the same job title or the same job title, either at a different company or a different location,
Yes.
what the salary ranges are, and then use that as your market research. Also, Indeed will do the same thing.
Yep.
Glassdoor will do the same thing.
Glassdoor.
You
Yep.
can just
Pay
go on
scale.
Google.
Pay
Yep.
scale does it. Yeah. There's a ton of resources out there that help you figure out, like, is this a good offer? Should I be asking for more, or am I where I should be?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And from a business standpoint, kind of like how you mentioned, think about, if you were an HR manager and you're hiring someone, right? You as the employee thinking in the mind of a HR manager, you know, you want to save your company as much money as possible, but while still being able to fill the role. So you're gonna have to lowball the candidate almost every single time. Unless you really, really, really want this person, you don't want to lose. You're not the first offer to insult them. You're gonna lowball them every time, and you're gonna expect them to negotiate. Because if they don't negotiate, well, then you're saving money and getting the same outcome. And then, then that leaves a lot more profit margin for your company to essentially get the same job done, but at a lower rate. But if the candidate knows their worth and they're showing that they want to negotiate, and they're showing that they want more, and you, like you said, they already said that they want you, then they're gonna be like, okay, well, this person's advocating for themselves. They see their value. I respect that even more, and they'll probably be even willing. They probably already have that range.
Yep.
It's ready for them to bring up that offer, so that then they can bring you in. Maybe if they gave you 40,000 the first offer, they're really saying, hey, we have in the budget actually 6,000 to give them, but let's do 40,000 because in the phone screen they said that they want 30,000, right?
And they will tell you. Honestly, I have been told by people, like, they can't go above a number. So it's not like you can't, if you go back to the table with a number, they will tell you that's out of our budget. And then you can, again, it's a negotiation. You can say, okay, I'm fine with accepting XYZ. It's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay. But we deferred off of that. I'm trying to think. So we also had, since we're talking about corporate, we had the question of, how do I decline working late? I like that question. Any time that you want to say no at work, anytime. I don't care if it's about working late. I don't care if it's about taking on additional work. If it's about working with someone you don't get along with. If it is just an uncomfortable situation at work. It's always about your boundaries. That's where it starts.
Right.
You have to set your boundaries, or people will set them for you. And I know, as a minority, and I'm not sure if everyone watching is minority, that's a hard thing to do. Actually, a survey just came out. It was on NBC News that 97% of minority employees don't want to go back to work. They don't want to go into an office because they don't want to face microaggressions. They don't want to face that authentically you crap. They don't want to deal with it. They're done with it. They want to stay remote. And I'm like, that should be such an eye-opener for so many employers. And anyone who says that they want to be an ally, what can you do to help lower that number, right? So people want to go back to work. To start with how do we do it? Well, number one, boundaries. You have to say what you're okay with. You have to establish the relationship that you're going to have with anyone, with your supervisor, with your colleagues, whether they're interdepartmental or not. You have to set that boundary. So if you're okay, if you are that, and I know because I've done this, I was overly friendly, super happy because I felt like if I wasn't, I was going to be the angry Black girl. So
Right.
I made sure that I was always on the other side of the spectrum. So I said yes all the time. I was always super happy, always super friendly, because I never wanted the impression of Kay's having a bad day. Kay is aggressive. Kay is unapproachable. I didn't want any of that. So I made sure if you saw me, you came to my desk, I was smiling. I was happy. I never was going to allow that stereotype to hit me, right? But in doing that, I set a boundary that meant Kay will do it, right? It's like there's a side to that. She's always, Kay's available. Oh, Kay's, of course she'll do it. Why not? She never says no. Yeah, you could go ask her. Oh, she'd love to. Because I gave them that. Because I never said no. I never showed I can have a bad day. No, I never had a bad day. You never saw me have a bad day. You never saw me be a real person. You always saw me smile. And sure, come on in. What can I do for you today? Instead of, sure, I can talk, but I'm busy right now. Can I get back to you later? There's a difference. You can be professional. You can be approachable. You can be real without being rude. And I think that's where we have to start creating that narrative that I'm not an aggressive Black woman or Asian woman or Indian woman, Native American woman, none of that. I am a human being without your stereotypes. And so we have to start controlling that narrative. And we don't do it. I don't think we do a good enough job of that. I think we're so afraid of it. We run from it and go to the other side of it. So I would say start with your boundary. If we want to say no or not right now, you don't have to say no if you don't want to be that mean, but not right now. I'm unavailable. I can assist you to my capability. Let me get back to you. There's a lot of different routes that you can take to go around. Yes.
Right. And what about with the specific context of a manager speaking to you and you're at say like an entry level position and you're speaking to your superior and they say, hey, Kay would do it, Anthony would do it, is it the same way that you go about there? Is there a different way to use that tone, etc.?
So it's a one-on-one conversation. I wouldn't do it in a public space. And I think that's where we go, that's where we go. Thank you for thinking of me. That's where I'd start because they thought of you, right? You came to me, you put yourself in their mindset. You came to me, you said, oh, can you work late tonight? So you thought of me to work late because you think, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You think that I have the ability to do this and that my workload can handle it. Okay. So thank you for thinking of me. But unfortunately, and that's me, again, benefit of the doubt, because it's really not unfortunate. But unfortunately, I don't have the capability or the capacity to handle additional workload other than what I've already committed to doing, which is my normal day-to-day, my normal hours, whatever those may be, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. And that's just what that is. I don't need to explain why. I'm not obligated to do this. So I don't need to say because my kid is sick, because I got to do this, because I ain't got to tell you nothing. I committed to working 8 to 5. I didn't commit to working 8 to 7. So thank you for thinking of me, but I'm unable to commit to that. And that's what that is. There's no need to, because I think that's another thing that I've noticed. People would do it to me too because I'm HR. They would give me excuses all day long. And I used to have to tell people like that was something I had to set that boundary. You don't owe me an excuse. I am not your parent. I'm not your principal. I'm none of that. I am your colleague. You don't have to tell me. But you get fearful. So you start rambling and you start telling me, oh, because I don't care. You don't have to tell me. It's fine. You don't owe me nothing. Don't tell me. You don't have to tell me why you couldn't do this, and I don't care. That's none of my business. It's fine. But we feel that way. That's our human nature. We feel like we're in trouble. So we have to explain why we want to do something. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. Ever.
Right.
That person has a higher title than you. But when y'all walk out that building, that person is the same person as you are.
Right.
Never forget that. That director, that VP, that CEO is the same person that bleeds like you bleed.
Right.
That's it.
Right. No,
Like,
absolutely.
never forget that.
That's definitely something I struggled with in my past job was not only did people kind of always just try to depend on me on a lot of things, like I was just always ready to go,
The
always ready to
go-to.
and part of me was telling me, hey, I'm doing this for my resume, I'm doing this for my professional development, I'm doing this to be helpful, I'm doing this to build a case for myself for to be the first person considered for a promotion, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I end up overworking. I ended up, what happened? When things went wrong, it kind of fell on me because I was putting my name under all these tasks,
Mm-hmm.
actually outside of my job description. And then when
Mm-hmm.
something might go bad or fall short, it's like, oh well, Anthony did this, so let's talk to him. And oh, if you decide to do this, why didn't you do a good
Yeah.
job? And it's like, well, I already did my job description correctly, and I already did that properly. Now I'm doing extra work. Why am I putting myself in a position to feel extra stress outside of what I already should be doing? So you got to really know where your boundaries are, like you said, and know to just be able to just set that line and be like, hey, like you said, thank you for thinking of me.
Yes.
I can do that right now.
And
Yeah.
that's something, yeah, I always thank people. I think that I learned that in leadership development training. When you thank somebody, it disarms them. And because a lot of times, like I worked in my career, I've always worked with high level C-suite executives, which
Mhm.
is a great thing, but it's also a curse. High level C-suite executives, because of their positions, usually they're there for a long time, right? Usually, and you probably noticed this when you meet like a treasurer, right? You meet a CIO, a chief information officer or whatever. Usually they've been in that role for a while, right?
Right.
Or they've, at least if not that role, they've been on that level for a while. CFOs, 30 years,
Right.
CEO, blah, 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 whatever.
Mhm.
So they have this stature about them. And then you come along and they may talk down to you.
Mhm.
They may have this idea that like you'll just do something. They can just command you, right? And I've dealt with that for a very long time. They like to do things their way,
Mhm.
not the company way. And I'm in HR, so I'm like, we do things the compliant way.
Right.
I don't care about your way. I care to do things the right way. And that's a lot of challenge. And that comes with boundaries, right? And so that's just something we have to learn. When we're at work, we really have to start standing up for ourselves and finding that voice of ours. And it's hard. It is hard to do. I will never tell someone it's not hard to do it because
Mhm.
it's a challenge. Like I am young and I got to an HR manager title very quick in my career. That was hard because I would be the only Black woman in the room and people are like, what is she doing here? What is she doing here?
Mhm.
And I have to be like I'm supposed to be here, right? That's a hard thing to do. And so I will never lie to anyone and say this is easy. It's easy
Mhm.
for for you to walk that line. But then when you go home, you got to turn that off. You have to turn off. We have to go home and be spouses, friends, sons, daughters,
Mhm.
cousins, right? We have to
Right.
show up to our games. We have to pick our kids up. We have to make dinner. We have to let work go. That's another side of it that I don't think all of us realize because we're also right now, we live in hustle culture.
For sure.
We live in hustle culture, which is a new phenomenon
Yeah.
that I don't think prior generations really dealt with. I have this argument with my mother, who's a boomer. And, I love the boomers. I love them. they shaped the way for us. I'm a millennial. You laid the foundation for sure. All praise to the boomers. But hustle culture has created this dynamic where you can't just work a 9 to 5 anymore. That's over. You have to work a 9 to 5 and have a side hustle and investments. And then this too, and that too, and gig work. And like, if you don't have 5 or 6 things going on, you behind. And so that's where we are now. And so when we talk in work-life balance, it's like, how the heck am I supposed to balance all that? And my family?
Juggling.
And buy a house? And have a nice car? And be an Instagram influencer? Yep. And look good while I do it?
Right.
Like these people, these young kids now, and I'm not that old, but I mean, I'm looking at 21-year-olds buying Birkins left and right.
I don't even know.
How do I compete?
All right.
I understand. I do. I understand. That's why we're having this talk today. I get it. I do. And it is a challenge. And that's why I said it goes back to your schedule. It goes back to prioritizing, because priorities play a huge part in this. What do you want in life? Right. And not even in life, because that's a big question. What do you want right now? We won't even talk about life. What do you want right now?
Right.
Right? Like, don't think about life. That's too big. Scale back. Everybody listening who's tuning in, tuning out, think about what you want right now. What do you want from work and life? Since we're on those 2 topics. From work, what do you want? Do you want to be, there's like 3 components. Do you want to be like an executive? That's like one. That's kind of the big boy, right? That's the guy that's like, when they say we're going to chop off the head, that's the head, right? So do you want to be that person? Do you want to be a middle manager who's like the guy underneath, guy or girl, which is it's a leader, but they're kind of the liaison. They sit in between the executive and the third one, which is the individual contributor. And an individual contributor would be like someone who goes to work and comes home. They do their job. There's nothing wrong with either one of these levels, right? So we're talking like customer service, accountant, HR rep, mechanics, teachers. Those are individual contributors. Those are people that know how to do their job. They go to work, they do their job, they go home. You scale up, that is your middle manager. So those are like your superintendents. Those are your directors. That's that level. They manage the people below, but they're not quite at the top. So if something goes wrong, they're not really in trouble. Right. They get the plan and they implement. And then your top is like your C-suite. Those are like, our business is screwed up, you're fired, because it's not supposed to be screwed up, right? So like when I say work, what do you want? Who do you want to be, right? And then life, what do you want? And not life, but like today. Do you want to go into your passions? Do you want to spend more time with family? Do you want to sleep more? Do you want to lose weight? You know what I mean? Do you want more money? Think about that kind of stuff. And that's where you're going to find the key to how are you going to find your balance. Right. Are you not happy at work? Are you not happy in life? Are you not happy in both? So we can find how to target it, and then we can start to balance you out. Right. That was a lot. Sorry. But I wanted this all to make sense.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's very important to, and something I've started doing is and you know, someone told me this like multiple years back, but I didn't actually start listening until I actually got into the real world, and it was to really just organize your schedule. And you kind of mentioned the schedule earlier on in the conversation, but being real intentional about it, and actually like, you know, I use Google Calendar. So essentially something in my life outside of work that I really wanted to work on, but I just had not worked on in since COVID started, was really just fitness and working out, being healthy. And I was just like, hey, you know, I just got to go to work, and then I come back from work and I'm tired, and I don't want to do anything. I just want to watch Netflix. I want to watch anime. I want to whatever. I want to work on the business. I want to work on someone's resume.
Yep.
I don't want to do too much. But now I just like, no, like I need to intentionally schedule my life and my work around the goals that I have for myself. So something I want in life is to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, every time I go home from work, even before I even get to like, downplay it in my head, hey, I don't want to work today, or I don't want to run today, I don't want to work out today. I just say, hey, let's get this workout. Let's just five to six,
Yeah.
do a little jog, do a little whatever, do a few
Mm-hmm.
push-ups. Just get that workout in real quick, and then shower, and you're good. And seven hasn't even come yet, and you at least did that
Did
little
something.
and you do that every single day. And I try to do that every day. I'm getting better at it. I haven't gotten to daily yet, but I'm gonna make it daily real quick, and just put those things in your schedule. So if maybe it's not working out, maybe it's a hobby, like you said, maybe it's a business idea, maybe
Yep.
it's spending time with your
Something.
child. Like it's easy to, and I'm not a parent, but it's easy to be tired from work. And
Yeah, for
I've,
sure.
I've seen, whether it's my parents or other parents, you come back from work, you're like, I'm just tired, and I would see my dad. My dad would just go to sleep right after work, just take a little nap. And like, when I was a child, I was like, oh yeah, he's tired. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, to be intentional about the time you're spending with your children, in that case, okay, right after work, no matter how tired I am, I'll just spend like an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours to do something, and just do something with my kid. Or if you want to learn more about, so you want to learn language, right? Like I studied a language in college, and it's easy to, if you're not speaking it on a regular basis, to lose it,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put an hour of my time towards either watching a show in French, or watching a show in
That's
Spanish,
awesome.
or using an app that, I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone uses Duolingo, but it's a great language app. So just taking some time, just taking a few quizzes on Spanish, because I was learning Spanish in my last job.
That's
So
awesome.
just being intentional about your time. Whether it's work or whether it's in your life, and just putting time towards the things that you want to achieve for yourself, because that's how essentially you'll probably excel at whatever you're trying to do, or your rate of growth will be exponentially
Yeah.
faster or more rapid than a majority of other people, because not everyone is intentionally scheduling their life like that,
Right. No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I love that. I don't want to miss our question. Swipes for
Yeah.
Boston says, how much time has to pass until I renegotiate my salary or ask for a promotion? 3 months in, and I'm noticing I'm outworking my coworkers. Good job for you for outworking your coworkers. I love that. That tells me that you know how to do your job and you know how to do it well. So when it comes to renegotiation, because you're already there,
Mhm.
there are there's really, this one's fun. There is strategic. So what I would say is, from an HR standpoint, you need to document everything you're doing. Because so typically, I don't know the company you work for or any of the details, but usually a company has a performance metric, right? And so a performance metric is like it could be yearly. In general, they're usually a year. But let's just say every year you might be evaluated. Um, and when you get evaluated every year, they say, okay, great. You had these goals, these tangible, measurable goals that you needed to hit, or we want you to hit. And you either hit them or you didn't.
Mm.
And if you hit them, you get this reward. This reward could be merit based, which means that you're getting a salary increase, or it could be a bonus. You like that. A lot of times people know about Christmas bonuses. It could be like that. It could be people give trips. Companies give like, oh, the top 10 earners get a trip to Cancun, whatever. There's a lot of different performance programs out there. So you may have that. I don't know, because I don't know your company. If you want to take it upon yourself to say, look, I know I'm better than them, that's a ballsy move. And to do that, you need to prove it. That's a put your money where your mouth is move. So to do that, you need to document this to say, I know I'm better than them, and here's how I know.
Mm.
I know because I have this fact and this fact and this fact and this fact. Not I know because I say it, but because I can prove it. And so whatever you do, you need to have some type of tangible evidence to provide over a length of time. So let's just say, for example, you, I don't know, you make calls. And so if you make calls, let's say you make 10% more calls per month than your other colleagues, like 4 of your other colleagues or 5 of your other colleagues. That would be tangible, presentable evidence that you could provide to show that you should make more or deserve, and not even make more, because in theory you shouldn't know how much they make, but deserve an increase of 50 cents. I don't know, right? I'm throwing numbers out here. But the point is, you're going to need something documented that you can provide over a length of time. So even if you start September 1st, start documenting what you do better than your colleagues that are in the same thing as you as well. So you can't compare yourself, like as an HR manager, I can't compare myself to the director of benefits, right? I have to compare myself to HR managers. I have to compare myself to people to do what I do.
Right.
So compare yourself to other people like you with measurable things. And then just keep that record over the next month, 2 months, 3 months. The more data you have, the better. And then once you have that data, schedule a meeting with your supervisor. I wouldn't go straight to HR because that's an oversight. Go to your manager first and say, I want to have this discussion because I have this data that shows I'm doing really well. And I think I'm doing better than these other people. And because of that, I think I deserve a raise of, and give them a number, X, right? I deserve a raise of $1 per hour. I don't know, whatever. But as long as you have something to back that, because you can't, nobody can walk into my office and tell me they want a raise for nothing. Because I would just, I won't laugh at you, but I would just politely ask you to leave. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt and get your evidence going so that you can be really prepared when you're ready to say, here's the facts, right? Facts over feelings. That's one of my favorite sayings in HR. Fact over feelings. Fact over feelings.
It's a quote right there. Okay. How would you suggest in terms of like you said, document everything? Should it be in a presentation? Should it be in just a Word document that you type out? How would
it depends on what it is. So if we're talking, and that's for anything in HR, right? Like literally, I tell folks this anytime. HR's job, not even just HR, but a company protects itself. Let's put that out there. A company protects itself always, right? It doesn't matter what it is. While you work for the company, they will protect you to an extent. So if you didn't do anything, they protect you. But if you're at fault, it now becomes you versus them. So always document. Always. Like if you get in a situation, I hope that you don't, knock on wood. But if you get in a situation where like your boss is an a-hole and they're sending passive aggressive emails to you, they have an inappropriate conversation with you, you try to go to HR and HR does nothing, whatever the case may be, everything that happens, you need to document that. You need to have it in writing. Send it to your personal email. Don't send it to a company work file. You need to have it because in the event that you have to actually file a lawsuit against this company, guess what? They're going to protect them. They're not going to protect you. They don't care to protect you. They care at that point, it's you versus them. And that's the reality of the situation. They're not going to go back and provide all the documents and communications to you. They're not doing that, right? They're going to protect themselves. So always document things for yourself. That's like my biggest tip ever, because I have been on, again, the other side where my company is getting sued. And I am pulling subpoenas and pulling documents and talking to our internal lawyers because it's my company versus an employee.
Right.
So always, no matter what, protect yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That is just what it should be. We'll leave that from the HR mouth herself.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that because I was just talking to my assistant manager, and he was basically giving me the same exact speech you just gave me, and just protect yourself because
Yes.
we work in an no, like a 239 unit apartment building, like luxury. It's all nice, right? And he manages all of the money coming in terms of the rent payments. And he said, hey, if you ever get in a position where you kind of have to manage money or really anything that's like high profile, protect yourself at all costs and document everything. So he was like, hey, every time I submit proof of a payment that I'm processing from one of the tenants, I take a screenshot or a receipt of it before I process it, and I take a receipt of the confirmation after. And I do that for every
Yep.
single one because you never know if some happens and there's like embezzlement charges or whatever. You have proof, that you did X, Y, and Z that you're supposed to do, and that you tracked all your paper trails and you made sure that you're good because you never know when something might come back to you. And he said literally in a meeting the other day, someone tried to blame me for maybe like a missing rent payment, and I showed them the proof before and after, like I always do with every single one. So make it part of your essentially your daily routine, your
Yep.
standard operating procedure, right? To just cover all your bases and make sure that you're good because it's easy for someone else in a different position to just be like, hey, this person is they don't have all the, they might have X, Y, and Z, but they don't have that one A that we're looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have to get them out because we need someone to blame this on, and we need to fix this
That's
problem.
what it is. You
You
will
know,
be it's I have worked for companies for years, and while I worked there, amazing, absolutely great. And then when I put in my notice, people stop talking to you. You're
mm,
no longer the night like it's amazing. Like I always tell people like I want you to love where you work. I do. I want you to have colleagues. I'm tentative on that F word, the friend word, but just remember, a job is a job,
right.
and it's, you have to just be careful. You do.
Mm,
You have to just be careful, because that's just what it is. That's just, it's just, I want you to love where you work, though. I do. And that's great if you have this family atmosphere and everybody watches each other's back, because it's just really rare.
right.
So, you got to be careful. That's all I got on that.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
that's all I got on that. I think the last question that we did have that I don't know if I addressed was, um, how do I maintain my hobbies?
mm,
And I created this thing. I haven't put it on my page yet, but I call it the Decide Guide. I share it with all of my clients, and it's called the Decide Guide because it goes between the difference of urgent versus important. And so basically, it's a little it's a little matrix of, and it teaches you how to separate things into kind of categories. A lot of times we think everything is urgent in our lives, and it's not. So I will post it on my feed, not tonight because it's almost 8, but I'll try to do it tomorrow. Basically, it says, hey, is this thing, right? When I'm trying to prioritize things in my life, when I'm like, crap, I got so much stuff to do. I got to do this. I got to get off work. Got to pick up the kids. I got to make dinner, blah, 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 blah.
mm,
Is everything urgent, or is it important? Is it maybe important, but it's not urgent? Is it maybe urgent, but it's not necessarily important? And right now I'm going to tell you how to separate that.
mm,
So an example of something that is urgent, for example, is like you have an angry client.
mm,
That's urgent and it's important. That needs to
mm,
be handled right now, right? A life thing that might be urgent and important is like your kids need to be picked up from school. They got out
right.
of school at 2:30 and it's 2:50. You need to go get them kids.
I
That's
know.
urgent and that's important, right?
Right.
We got to do that right this
Right.
second. Something that might be important but not necessarily urgent might be dinner.
Mm,
That's important to figure out, but is that necessarily urgent if it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Probably
right.
not.
Right.
right? So it's something we want to think about. We're going to have to eat at some point, but is it something I have to do right this second? No, it's not. And it kind of coincides with my DDD list, right? If it's not urgent, I can defer it. Dinner is important, but I don't have to do it right now. So I can defer it till later, right?
Right.
Picking up my kids when they were out of school 20 minutes ago, I got to do that. I got to do that right now. When it's urgent but not important, I can delegate it. I can delegate it to somebody else. So that would be like, I got to enter all this stuff into my system. It needs to be entered. That's an urgent task, but is that important for me to do? Not really. So I can delegate that to someone else, right? We have to get this data in here, but it's not urgent that we get it in here, right? Or it's not important that we get in here. So I can delegate that. And those that are not urgent or important at all, that's busy work.
Busy work.
I got to open my mail. I need to see if there's a bill in there. I do need to do it, but I can delete that till next week, right? So it's a cute little matrix, so it's easy for you guys to see it. I'll put it up on my page, like I said, probably not tonight, maybe tomorrow. Yeah. But it's super helpful just to have on your desk, because it really does sort things out for you. Like, all right, is this urgent? And just ask yourself, is it urgent? It maybe not. Yeah. I call it the decide guide. You can call it whatever you want, but I think it would really help with prioritizing. Urgent, the simple way to think of it is urgent versus important. Is it something that has to be done right now, or is it just something I want to get done, but I don't necessarily have to do it in this moment?
Yeah, I love that so much. That's really helpful. I would love to see that post whenever it comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up tomorrow.
Okay, great. We'll definitely repost it. So we're running to the end of our live session. This has been great so far.
Any other questions you guys can ask me again? A lot of people ask me about DEI. I know that's sometimes a super confusing topic, so surprised I didn't have any, but that's okay. But I'm free. I'm there to talk about it if you want to know.
Right. Hey, maybe we can bring you on for another session soon.
DEI is one of my favorites. I love it. I'm talking about it next week, actually. Talking about how to find your bias, because everybody's got them.
Yeah, we'll definitely tune into that for sure. But yeah, definitely let the people know where they can find you and what other services.
You can find me K-Grave Sandy. I don't know if it's on here or not on this live, but at K-Grave Sandy or at Career K. I guess I could type it in here. K-Grave Sandy or at Career K is my page is more like fun, just because I'm a little bit of a goofball. But if you want to actually see like, fun business stuff, you can go to my business page. That one is not so fun. It's more about like HR stuff. So kind of depends on which one you want to follow.
All right. Well, we'll make sure to follow both. Thank you so much, Kay, for being on here. We really appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to episode A of the A to Z Career Coaching Series. And make sure to tune in for the next one. We're trying to do these at least once a month, ideally on a Friday. So look out for the next one. And everybody go follow Kay. She does a great job what she does, and we really appreciate having her on today. Thank y'all so much. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. We appreciate you.
Have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care, y'all.